Okay, so this is the FoodSense, and the FoodSense has a new analyte mode for it, which is launched today, which is the pH mode. So the pH is relevant for a lot of things. Today we're going to talk about pH for baking. So pH is an important parameter in, for example, fermentation, to optimize the fermentation process. So we're going to use our 2-point calibration pH sensor. It looks like this. We're going to choose pH on the app, and then we'll just stick the sensor into our meter and hit measure. Now when we do that, it's going to give us a set of instructions. It might be a bit difficult to see in this camera angle, but what it says is to put pH 10 calibration solution on the sensor and then proceed. So we have here 2 calibration solutions that ships with the box. This is the pH 10. So we're just gonna suck up a little, it's around about 30 to 50 microliters. It doesn't matter too much as long as we cover the full area of the sensor like this. There we go. So that's the pH 10, and then we can hit proceed on the app. And now it's going to take somewhere around 60 seconds for it to perform the first step in the two-step calibration. Alright, so now we've finished our first 60-second calibration cycle. Now we're just going to wick this gently off the sensor. Just using a piece of paper, and we touch the drop. Just make sure that we get most of this out of the way. And if we don't get all of it in one go, we can flush it with our next calibration solution, which is pH 4. So we can just introduce the sample and then just wick it away, and that way you make sure that you have only pH 4 on there for this step. So if you are very particular about the calibration, you can do this 3 times, and that should effectively flush away all of the old solution. Alright, so now we've introduced our pH 4 calibration solution, and we're going to hit proceed. And what this is going to do, it's going to generate an Insitu calibration. So this works the best if you have, if the medium that you're going to measure for your unknown sample is more or less similar to the ones in the calibration solution. If you don't have that, that's also, you will get a correct result, but it's not going to be as accurate. Okay, so now we are done with calibration. So we're just going to wick away all of the old calibration solution. I switched to a different type of paper which has a bit better capillary action, so I don't think we have to flush this one. So now it says put sample on sensor, and sample means in this case our dough sample. So we're just going to take a piece of our dough. And it is important for the dough to have some moisture in this step, otherwise the assay isn't going to work. So we're just going to put that slab on top of the sensor. Make sure it doesn't come in contact with the connector, so the box itself. Otherwise your solution might pull into the device and all sorts of nasty things can happen. So we're just going to hit proceed. And now this one is doing a measurement of our unknown sample. And depending on where we are in the let's say that it's a fermentation process, we might get a lower pH if we are closing to the finishing stage, because the fermentation produces acids as a byproduct. Or if we are at an early stage, we'll have a slightly higher pH. For bread, an optimal pH for the fermentation would be around 5.5. I think anything between 4 and 6 is a good range to be in. Of course, depending on the product. So now it is closing up on the finish, and we're going to get a result back, which should be the final pH of our dough. And there you have it. So this was a 7.5 pH dough. This dough is past fermentation, so this was bought and stored in a supermarket. So a pH 7.5 isn't too bad for this kind of dough. So just to summarize quickly, this was the pH measurement on the FoodSense. We measured on a sample of dough. We used our pH sensors. These are single use and throw. We did an Insitu calibration using a pH solution 10 and 4. And finally we introduced our sample, which held a pH of 7.5. All right, thank you for your attention.